The amount of times that I'm just running around like a chook getting ready for this show. If you could see the behind the scenes, if you could see that I ran through that door 30 seconds ago, sat down here and went, I really hope that my audio is set up and that my camera's set up and that I'm in focus and that we're ready to rock and roll. We are. Mostly, so we're all good. Hello, welcome to the show before the show. If you want to just jump straight to the podcast recording, jump into the timestamp that's going to be linked down in the description and in the pinned comment, because this is the little pre-roll. This is our pre-show where I get my level set, I make sure my head's in the right space, I just get all of my information ready to go, and we're going to talk today about bots. Yes, the robots that rule our world in 2023. How scary are they? Are there any good robots? Do we need to fear for our lives, for our jobs, for humanity? All of that is going to be covered in the podcast. But hello to the folks who are here live. Okay, maybe I'm not quite as prepared as I thought I was. I still haven't even poured my water into my cup. Hello to the folks who are here live. G'day to Phil Gone. Hello to SM Borthwick. We've got Thomas Christ. The robot looks angry. He does. He looks a very angry robot in the thumbnail there. G'day, Brad. Example. Hello to you, my friend. We've got Dom. Dom is a bot. Yeah, well, don't be a bot today, folks, because you'll get kicked out by our wonderful moderators. Mark Bro has supper time, so he will be catching the replay or catching up with us later. So hello to you, Mark. Don't worry. Next week, hang on. Do Canada have the same daylight saving change that America, the US do? Because you're all about to change your times, and it's just going. There's 2 times of the year where everything just gets messed up. It's like October, November, and then again in March, April, because everyone goes through the daylight saving time changes, and it just gets bloody confusing for a few weeks. So make sure that you are on the email newsletter. So studiolivetoday.com/email will take you right there. Studiolivetoday.com/email, just to make sure that that metric is working. I'm going to present my screen here because we will need to do that throughout the show. The entire screen, not that one, but this one. So yeah, so if you're not already on the mailing list, I don't bombard you with stuff. I only send out one newsletter a week, so I won't set up bots to spam you. Other people might, but we'll talk about that a bit later. So all you need to do to join the Studio Live Today mailing list, I don't steal all your data, I don't want all your demographics, I just want your email address. And then you'll get one email every week, and it will just have the times and the dates of the shows and the links, and you can set yourselves reminders and make sure you're here at all of the show. The Raveling Bungalow, yeah, daylight saving time. It's happening thing. It's my bugbear that a couple of times a year you change, and then I change, and then the UK changes. So between Australia, the UK, and the US and Canada, which are the 3 biggest markets in the home recording world, yeah, everything changes. US goes forward this weekend, UK and Europe in a couple of weeks, yeah, and then Australia like the week after that. So it goes chunk, 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 chunk. There's like 4 separate changes. So yeah, exactly. We go back in April. And you know why that was? That was because they wanted they basically want our summertime to just continue. We want an endless summer where we can just continue to be in summertime for a lot longer. And I don't know. I personally, as someone who likes to get up early and go for a walk, the last few weeks it's been pitch black. I get up at 6 a.m. I get my shoes on and go out for a walk. I always do half an hour in the first thing in the morning. And yeah, pitch black. This morning it was okay because it was a full moon. So it was actually kind of cool because there was a full moon up one side. There was a beautiful sunrise up the other side. And I was just walking around in my element. Kealo Rocks, I was almost missed this. Drooling over a guitar that is coming out. The Taylor K68 12-string. Well, I am a Taylor player, so I do like a good Taylor. So, and I have always wanted a 12-string. Never owned a 12-string in my life. I've owned acoustics, I've owned Ovations, I've owned Stratocasters, not Fenders. I've actually never owned a Fender. I've owned, I always buy the cheaper stuff. I've owned a Les Paul, an Epiphone Les Paul. I've owned bass guitars, never owned a 12-string in my life. Maybe there's something, maybe that's a goal for 2023 or 24. Mexican food, delicious. Yeah, Mexican is indeed delish. Just don't go too heavy on the chili, the beans, and the guac. Otherwise, you'll be regretting it later in the evening. All right. So we've got ourselves set up. Can we get a quick audio check? So the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Just want to make sure that I'm not popping my peas and that my audio levels are okay. We've got no audio clipping. I seem to be sitting nicely at the top of the yellow, which means on the top of the green, which means that even if I get really excited about robots, I shouldn't be quite clipping. So if anything is coming through badly, you'll know better than I will, and then we'll crack on in just a few moments and get started. Quick bit of news and notes. So again, if you're on the email mailing list, you'll know all of this stuff. We're doing the Australian Happy Hour this weekend, so all Aussie songs, which should be a lot of fun. Your Music Live is in its usual time slot, but check your local guides because it's going to tweak by an hour depending where you are in the world. I know, and I'm sorry. And then we've got GarageBand Weekly where we're starting a brand new thing. We're going to do a wheel of random. So we're going to be throwing up a random wheel and seeing what instrument it lands on. We're going to create a song from scratch, like maybe not a song, but a piece of music, and I'm going to have to use whatever instrument pops up. So if the same thing pops up, I could be making a song with 7 cellos or 4 flutes. I don't know. We don't know what it's going to be, but that should be a little bit of fun. SM Borthwick says I had a cheap 12 string, swapped it for an SM58, one of the best deals I ever made. That is a good deal. A cheap 12 string for an SM58. I guess the SM58 you can record and you can capture anything at that point. So 12 string is just a 12 string. A microphone can capture anything that's going on in your world. Sounds good. Well, if I don't hear complaints and if I don't hear folks telling me and screaming at me saying, "Johns, you sound dodgy," then we're probably okay. We will reconvene at the end of the show. So if there's something that you desperately want to ask or that you want to contribute, you can definitely do that as we go through. We'll be talking bots for the 45 minutes to an hour that we're talking during the podcast. But if there's things that are on your mind that aren't related to that, you can hold that thought, and we'll definitely have some time at the end to answer any questions, to have a bit of a chat about that at the end. Okay, where are we at? We're at the 7-minute mark. Usually we have about 10 minutes of rambling, which is enough time. Just make sure that we are hydrated, that the voice is ready, the audio recording is ready. The audience, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to be our live audience for this live podcast recording? I hope so, because we're talking bots on the show. All right, we're going to pause for about 5 seconds, just for a bit of gap, and then we're going to dive straight on into the podcast recording. Thanks for being here, folks. In this week's Studio Live Today podcast, we are talking about bots. Yes, our evil robot overlords. Are bots dangerous? Are they evil? Are they going to ruin the world? Are they going to take our jobs? We're going to discuss all of that, as well as what actually are bots? Because I think there's some misconceptions. I definitely have had different views and thoughts, and just doing a little bit of research for today's podcast, I found out a few things, and it's changed my mind on a few things. So we'll dive into that in just a moment. If you are new to the show and new to this community, my name is Pete Johns. This is Studio Live Today. My goal around here is to help you create, record, and release your best music. I do that through tutorials and tips and trick videos over on Studio Live Today on YouTube. And we also have this weekly podcast. You can get the audio version at studiolivetoday.com/podcast, or the video version is available on the YouTube channel. All the information you need is just at studiolivetoday.com. What's been going on in the last week around here? Well, I finished a brand new song. Yes, I'm trying to practice what I preach, and I finally finished my brand new punk song. It is called Sink or Swim, and the cool thing was we did it right here in the community. So there were 7 episodes of my GarageBand Weekly show, and over those 7 weeks we wrote and recorded and mixed and mastered, and just last week we released using DistroKid. And yes, DistroKid are a sponsor of the channel, so full disclosure, but they're a great option for getting your music out there to the world. And my new song is being released on the 13th of March. If you're listening in the future, it's probably out there. Just search Pete Johns Sink or Swim on your favorite music streaming platform and you'll find it, because that's the beauty of DistroKid. Yeah, it's out there on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Amazon, Tidal, all the places, because DistroKid rule. The video is available right now. That's down in the show notes and in the description of the video if you're watching on the video version. So get your punk on. A little bit of late 90s, early noughties pop punk goodness in that new song. I hope you enjoy it. We also had a great Your Music Live last week with some amazing independent artists. It was a cracking show, so make sure you tune into that every week on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday morning, depending where you are in the world. And each and every week we also do a happy hour show, so we do an hour of acoustic tunes. Last week we jumped up north, the Great White North, and played some Canadian tunes. This week it's all about Australia. And again, if you're listening to this podcast in the future, that won't mean a lot to you. But guess what? There's probably a week's worth of live shows happening right now that you can jump into and enjoy. Let's dive into our feature topic for the week. That is bots. What is a bot? Well, a bot comes from the term robot. Not surprisingly, I jumped over to the Oxford Dictionary on Google and got a definition. And it says, robot, especially in science fiction, a machine resembling a human being and able to replicate certain human movements and functions automatically. And the quote they've got there is, the robot closed the door behind us. I mean, I don't know if someone deliberately wrote that to sound extra creepy, but when you're saying an example of a robot and something a robot would do, it closed the door behind us, thus imprisoning us forever, I think is the second half of that sentence. So a robot is really just about replicating human functions. And this is probably what most people get their knickers in a twist the most about, because they think that robots, that bots, that automation, that algorithms, that AI, artificial intelligence, is going to take over the world. It's going to replicate and replace every human function. So that's at one extreme end of the scale, the absolute fearmongers that are telling you that it's the end of time. The other end of the scale is people that think that every single human thing is going to be replaced by robots. We're going to be living like the Jetsons. The only problem we're going to have is a sore finger from pressing the one button that sets off all the automation like George Jetson does in the Anyone watch the Jetsons? Is that too old a reference? Hands up who loved the Jetsons. I loved Astro. Refuge. Yeah, very, very cool. I used to sit... Flintstones, Jetsons was my Hanna-Barbera morning routine. So robots and the Jetsons, they kind of go hand in hand because science fiction and robotics have always been very closely linked. But these days, it's more about science fact, isn't it? The robots are actually here and they're doing a lot of things. They're doing some really good things, and they're doing some things that some folks think are really bad. We're going to talk about both of those here on the show. I wanted a better definition, though, of bot, because a bot particularly has a bit more of a negative connotation, because bots are those dodgy people in chat that you see putting in the links to nefarious sites, or they're things that are going in and trying to hack passwords by just using brute force automation. So a bot seems to have a bit of more of a harder time than the word robot, because it seems to have more negative. So I looked up in another source here. I grabbed the definition of a bot here from the Merriam-Webster, and it says a computer program that performs automatic repetitive tasks. Several shopping bots will track down prices for online merchandise from a variety of vendors, especially one designed to perform a malicious action. And this is where a lot of folks put bots in their place. These bot programs churn away all day and night, prodding at millions of random IP addresses looking for holes to crawl through. Or the other one, and this is where you can get yourself into trouble, a computer that has been infected with a bot can be used for malicious purposes as part of a network of infected computers. Have you heard about a bot army? That's why you got to be careful. You got to have your spyware and your adware and your virus protection up to date, because if you get some dodgy spyware on your computer, not only might it be stealing your data, but more often these days, it's going to be using your computer as part of its bot network to do some of the weird things that we're talking about here on the show. So bots, good, evil, you tell me. What's your favorite bot? What's your least favorite bot? Have you had experience with bots in the past? I'd love to hear your comments, either here on the live show, because we're recording this live on YouTube, or if you're watching on the replay or you're checking out the audio version, please join the conversation. We've got Facebook groups, we've got Discord servers, and of course you can comment on the YouTube video. Now, When I think about bots for as they relate to music, because let's be honest, this is a music podcast, and you might be thinking, Johns, why are we talking about this? What relevance does this have to me as a music creator, or you as a music creator in general? Well, there's a heap of different stuff that we'll be going through here related to music. But essentially, why are bots put in place in the first place? Well, it's all about money and time. So back in the day, if you wanted to do something, you had to do it by hand. And before robotics came out, before the Industrial Revolution, in fact, you had to do everything by hand. And handmade things, artisan things, things that were made bespoke, take a lot of time and a lot of energy. The other thing that they are not is scalable. So when Henry Ford started making motor cars, there was a problem. Every time they made a car, they kind of just put it together, meaning that the engineer or the worker on the day might have used a 3/8 screw to screw in one part, and then the guy in the night shift might have been using a 5/8 screw to screw in a part. So there was no uniformity, which meant that they couldn't actually produce these things. It meant parts weren't replaceable. It meant automation wasn't possible. So the whole factory, and again, factory is a bit of an F word for some folks as well, because, factory farming and factory, yeah. So the factory concept was that we can have replaceable parts, we can have automated systems, and we can make it scalable. So that whether you're making one car, 5 cars, 10 cars, or 5,000 cars, you're just using the same process and you can scale it up. And that's the biggest thing that a lot of folks in the music biz these days, and the reason that there's so many bots around music and around video content and around the internet, is that folks want to save time, they want to make more money, and they want to scale what they're doing. They don't want to just do it one thing at a time. And this leads me to good bots. So what are good bots? You might be thinking, oh, bots are all terrible, they're all horrible, they're all doing the bad thing. But did you get a notification to watch this video? If you're listening on the audio podcast, did your podcast player pop up and say, guess what, brand new episode of Studio Life today, you might want to listen? Did you receive my email newsletter saying, here's this week's news, here's the shows that we're going to be doing live and the times that they're going to be? Well, guess what? All of those things were bots. And those were things that are doing my bidding. So I'm programming them. And this is an important concept. An automated system, a bot, a robot, is only as good as the human that is programming them. People that worry about sentient robotic beings going in and actually doing things, and they're like, oh, it's the computer's fault. Ever blamed the computer? Ever gone, oh, it's the technology, it's the computer's fault. I did everything right, it's the computer's fault. Well, guess what? It's either your fault or it's the programmer of that computer, or the person that put the computer together and didn't do a very good job, that's causing faults and leaky RAM and other things. So yeah, it is all about that. It is all about the if you're looking in terms of a good bot, there's so many things that a good bot's can do. Have you been to the supermarket lately? I mean, some people might think that that's not a good bot because it's taking away jobs. But yeah, I kind of love it. I love the going through those automated checkouts, because if it's 6:30 in the morning and I'm just buying a loaf of bread, I don't have to interact with people. And for me, as an introvert, that's a great thing, especially before my first coffee of the morning. So yeah, money, time, scalability. That's why there's so many bots out there, and that's why bots are in the world. A few comments from people here in the live chat before we move into our next topic. Phil Gones says, if it has anything to do with Telegram, it's probably a scam bot. Yes, Telegram, a WhatsApp number, and we will talk about that, because you got to protect yourself from a lot of these potential scams and bots that are going out there. The prawn bots helping us find love in our area. Yeah, that's a definite one. Dom Terragrosa says that I am a bot general. That's right. I'm commanding a force of bots bringing people together. That's it. The iOS drummers. Yeah, are they bots? Well, yeah, kind of, because you're programming them. If you're programming a drummer, a virtual drummer, to play your music, then perhaps you are a bot master yourself. Exactly. S.M. Borthwick says, bots are well and good, but we're over 20 years into the 21st century and I still don't have my jetpack. What's up with that? I agree. And here's my thing. I think about robots. If I wanted a robot, I don't want something that's a computer program that I just use on my desktop computer, or I grab my smartphone and use. I want Rosie from the Jetsons. I want it to go bleep bloop. I want it to run around on wheels and tracks, and I want it to bring me a cup of coffee and wear a weird maid's costume, because apparently that's what people in the 50s thought we were going to be like in the 21st century. But yeah, they promised us jetpacks, and they promised us flying cars, and they promised us robots to do our bidding that looked like Rosie from the Jetsons. Or what's the Lost in Space? The Danger, Danger, Will Robinson with the flappy arms. Yeah, lots of cool robots in history. But that's not really what we're talking about today. So, as it relates to music, the first thing you're probably going to think about, and the first thing I want to talk about, is algorithms. Oh my goodness, if bots are a four-letter word, algorithms are like a very taboo four-letter word, because people seem to hate algorithms. And yeah, justified in some cases. But here's what an algorithm is. An algorithm is it's a program. It's something that a human says, prioritize these things, take in this data, analyze it, and then spit out this data. That's all it is. All an algorithm is a set of commands. It's like a maths equation. It's like a formula. It's a formula, but it's a formula for delivering dopamine to your children's brains. Okay, that's a little bit doomsday, but it's a formula for delivering what it thinks you want. So the most famous algorithms, YouTube, you might be watching this on YouTube right now. YouTube, every time you click a button, every time you click like, which you should be doing on this video, every time you like, comment, and subscribe and ring the bell on YouTube, that is telling the YouTube algorithm something about you. And it gets right down into the granular detail. It'll know the impressions. So as you're scrolling through YouTube videos, you're trying to find a cool tutorial, it will actually watch. It's watching you. It sure is. It knows all of the things you scroll past. It knows what you tap on. It knows how long you watched that, whether that was actually delivering what you wanted. It knows whether you liked it or disliked it. It knows whether you commented on that. It knows what you watched next. It knows what you watched before. It knows what you had for breakfast, and it knows your mother's maiden name. So you need to be careful when you're on YouTube. Okay, maybe not, but it does know a lot about you. And if you think YouTube's algorithm is creepy, TikTok goes the next level. TikTok has been kind of crowned as the most presumptive algorithm of all. One of the reasons TikTok's popularity has increased so much is that it has some really smart programmers. And again, these are smart humans. These are smart engineers behind the scenes that are actually looking at this and going, right, how do we keep what we call watch time up? How do we keep people engaged? How do we have a good watch session? How do we make sure that when someone gets to the end of that 1 minute video, we deliver exactly the video that they will want to watch that will make them not click off and go to another service? And that's what TikTok are doing really well. Instagram are crushing it too. So say what you will about Meta, about Facebook and Instagram, they are using these algorithms as well. They are using their bots to go in and scrape through your data and see what you like. You can look at this in two ways. You can look at this on the negative and say, this is terrible. Won't somebody please think of the children? And I don't want them to be spying on me and taking my data and using me as a product, etc., etc. Or if you're like me, you kind of look at the good side of this, which is that I don't want reality TV show promos. I don't want ads for handbags and fashion designer clothing. I want to know about the latest new music app. I want to see Patrick from the GarageBand Guide's new video about weird plugins. I want to see the latest Jade Star app review. So by it having an algorithm that tracks me and that gets my data and that tells me what it likes, tells it what I like, and then presents me with stuff that I like, isn't that better? Wait, is Pete on the side of the bots? Sort of, maybe. Not really. Pete's a fence sitter, so you know that if you've been around here a while. But yeah, algorithms are bots. But again, remember, these are programmed by humans. It's not the machine's taking over, because the humans are tweaking these all the time. And this is where places like YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, this is where they get such a bad rap, is because people think, they're doing the wrong thing. Oh, no, they're choosing to do that. Amazon are the same. Again, not as related to music, but you may also like on Amazon, everyone's seen it. Yeah, that is based on an algorithm that knows your shopping habits. It knows what people like you with the same age, location, interest, demographic have bought in the past, and it knows exactly what to position for you to buy to get the most money out of your wallet. There you go. Dom Torregrosa here on the chat says, I don't mind that all my ads now have something to do with guitars. There you go. There you go. And by the way, If you're worried about the different countries, perhaps if there's some xenophobic tendencies around where these people are based, it really doesn't matter. It's all just getting your data. And let's be honest, if companies wanted to spy on you or governments wanted to spy on you, they got other ways of doing it. They're not going to bother doing it through TikTok. They've got it well and truly under control. It's the stuff you don't see you need to worry about more than the stuff that's right in your face. So before we go and knee-jerk react and ban things, yeah, just remember that it's not the stuff that's out there visible that's actually the problem. It's the under stuff. And I'm going to tell you about that. I'm going to talk about the under the blanket stuff a bit later. Ding. All right. I was chatting about this with my wife and I said, what are some ideas that you have of stuff we can talk about to do with bots and how bots are either helping or ruining the music industry and stuff for people when it comes to music? And she had a great point, which is concert tickets. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Have you bought a concert ticket lately? My wife's cousin is trying to get tickets or has got tickets to go to the Eurovision Song Contest, and the tickets opened up, and it was really difficult to get these tickets. So she had an army of people, not bots, not a bot army, a flesh army, which sounds creepier than it should. She had an army of people that were on computers logging in immediately, and it threw them straight into a queue. So my wife was helping out, and it was like, you are 2,000th in line. There's 2,000 plus people in front of you, and it went through and waited. Now, the reason that these ticketing sites are going through all this effort to do this is that bots are going in and buying up all the tickets. So again, humans are programming, but I don't know how many times I'm going to say that in this podcast, but humans are programming the bots. They're doing the automation. It's not a machine, it's a human. So humans are deciding that instead of being a single human able to buy one group of tickets, they want to program a bot that can go in as 1,000 different people. It's like 1,000 monkeys and 1,000 typewriters, but it's 1,000 bots going in there. So what was happening in the concert ticket industry is that people were jumping in and they were not being able to buy a ticket. If you wanted to go to the latest Taylor Swift concert, you couldn't go because some robot had already gone in and bought up all the tickets. So they had to do something about this. So this is where you're getting these pre-verified pre-sale tickets now. So quite often you'll have to sign up, go through a captcha. We'll talk about that later. Go through a captcha, go through a human validation process, have your two-factor authentication, and prove that you are a single human being. And then you could buy like up to 4 tickets at a certain time window when it was available. So those sort of things are now in place because there were so many bots going in there and buying so many tickets. It isn't completely fixed though, because every time you put in a thing that's going to stop people, then guess what? The people, and again, it's the people, not the machines. The people will find a way around that. So it's this cat and mouse game where the ticketing companies, and say what you will about Ticketek and Ticketmaster and Ticketgator, they're all pretty evil, but big evil faceless corporations. That's what we're dealing with here. But they are trying to stop people doing this because they genuinely don't want a bunch of pissed off Taste Whistle fans lining up outside their headquarters going, we can't buy a ticket. We want to give you our money. And that's the thing. They want to get the money, but they don't benefit from scalping. That, by the way, that's in case you're not following the bouncing ball through here. The reason people would want to do this is these are really popular tickets. They might sell for $200, $300, $400. And if these folks buy them, they can then scalp them or sell them on a resale market for 2, 3, 4 times that cost. People are buying Ed Sheeran tickets for like $500 because they can't buy them on what they call the primary market. So the secondary market kicks in, and that's where all your ticket sales go. That's where we're at with our tickets. It's not fun. And I miss the days where to buy a ticket, you would walk into a record store. Remember record stores? Yeah, a Big Star Records here in Adelaide. I would walk into Big Star. I'd look on the board, like the chalkboard, and see who was coming and when. And I'd walk up to the grizzly dude that smelt like weed and say, yo, grizzly dude, can I buy a ticket to Silverchair at the Gov in 3 weeks' time? And he'd go, that'll be $25. And I'll go, there you go. And he'll hand me a piece of paper and I'll walk away. That's it. And these days, it is different. At the risk of sounding like an old man yelling at clouds, that's the way I feel. I miss the old days, folks, where we could actually afford to go to things and you could just buy a ticket and you weren't charged a processing fee. What was it that I saw on the most recent ticket I bought? There was a booking fee and then a processing fee and then a credit card surcharge. Now, keep in mind, you can't pay for tickets with anything but credit cards these days, yet they still manage to put a credit card surcharge on there. I'm like, so what's my purchase alternative if I don't want to pay that credit card surcharge fee? And they're like, I don't know, staple some cash to the leg of a homing pigeon and see how you go. Maybe. So concert tickets are ruined. All right, we're going to have a quick break. Mostly so I can have a drink of water. So this is why I like having guests on this podcast. We will have guests coming up in the future. We've got some cool folks that'll be joining us on the podcast, but today it's old man rants about robots and the good old days. So Captcha and proving your identity. So one of the things that we have these days online is the need to have things secured. And there's a couple of things that you do here. One of them is Captcha, which is those really annoying things where you have to type a word, but because the bots, the robots, have the ability to read plain text, this is why Captchas have those really weird, wonky graphics that the letters you're like, is that a Y or an N? And then you put it in and it's like, no, it was an R, sucker. You're like, how is that an R? I don't get it. Or the great one, click all the pictures where there is a train that is less than 4 carriages long and also blue. And you're like, well, okay. And you click it and it's like, no, that wasn't right. We'll try another one. You're like, oh, okay. I'm not getting this. What's the alternative? Oh, here's a sound one. Here, listen to this sound and tell me what they're saying. I got no idea what they're saying. So yeah, the Captchas are in place to stop the bots. So just like we were saying before, the bots that can create accounts, that can join queues to buy concert tickets, if they put this in place, well, then you need a human to actually interpret these crazy Captchas to do it. It's also why things like two-factor authentication are really important because it adds a step. There's an old saying that you can have privacy and security, or you can have convenience, and you really can't have both. And it's so true. If you look at what we do in a modern society, and again, relating it back to music, if you're signing up for SoundCloud or DistroKid or Slaps.com, or you're releasing music, or you're doing anything related to music or sharing your music, or just signing up to Spotify. I know that Jade had a challenge. So Jade Starr, who's a wonderful member of our community, she was showing something about DistroKid and had to sign into a Spotify account. Except the Spotify account needed two-factor authentication, except it then sent it to another email address or another phone, and then it put, there's so many different ways now. We've got authenticators, we've got SMS notification, we've got email notification, you've got in-app notification. Google now, here's the funny thing, Google, love you Google, but Google's second factor and third-party authentication now, if you go in and say, hey, I'm doing this thing, I'm here, I'm me, it says, we need you to prove you're you. Go to this device, open the YouTube app and click, yes, it's me. Now, if you're like me, you might have several devices. And if you're more like me in terms of like a content creator, I've had so many different iPads and iPhones that haven't really ever gotten around to, removing from my accounts, that it'll say, go get Big Dude, which is like an iPad Pro that sits out in the kitchen, is really only used for watching hockey games, and go to the YouTube app and press yes, it's me. So I have to go out to the kitchen and I'm like, oh, Big Dude's not plugged in, he's not charged. I can't actually authenticate and authorize that it's me. Give me another method. And it's like, okay, we've sent an email to you to this email address. And I'm like, oh, but that's another Google email address that I don't actually use very often, and I've forgotten the password. So then I have to do a password reset for that. And yeah, you know where I'm going with this. It's a hassle, but it's an important hassle because of something we mentioned earlier. Excuse me. Something we mentioned earlier, which is all about the fact that you don't want to become one of the bots. You don't want to be part of the bot network. So if you don't use two-factor authentication, and by the way, what's two-factor authentication? 2FA, two-factor authentication. It means that when you're logging into something, and I highly recommend, if you don't have 2FA on pretty much everything now, please go and do it. If you do nothing else, if you listen to nothing else of me ranting here today, use two-factor authentication, because as annoying as it can sometimes be, it can save your bacon. Because what a bot will do is it'll use what's called a brute force attack. So it'll say, I know you. I know you're Studio Live Today. So therefore, your email address is probably studiolivetoday@gmail.com. And what they'll do is they'll brute force that. They'll just ping every possible password. Now, if your password is password123, you're already boned and you probably deserve to lose all your data and become part of a bot network. But even if you've got a strong password, eventually, the way these encryption algorithms and these bots are working, they may get through, they may actually penetrate, or more likely, there's been some sort of data breach. Here in Australia, you can name them. There's been Optus, there's been Medibank, there's been AGL, there's been the state government. There's been so many data breaches lately where, through no fault of your own, some of your data's been lost and it's gone to the bad guys. Now, if you don't regularly update your password or have two-factor authentication on there, they've got your password already. But here's the thing, with two-factor, have you ever got those weird emails where it's like, it looks like you've tried to log in from Turkmenistan on a Google Chrome tablet? And you're like, I don't think I was in Turkmenistan last night, but I mean, I did drink a few tequilas, but anyway, it probably wasn't me. And but because it sent you that, you're just like, no, it wasn't me. And it's like, cool, you're good. But if you didn't have two-factor on, it wouldn't have sent you that. It would have just logged them in. It would have just said, yep, hacker in Turkmenistan, have at it. You are now Pete Johns. And then the hacker can go in, they can change all your stuff. This happened to my folks. They had a Netflix account. There was a data breach through their service provider, who shall remain nameless, Telstra. And they got their Netflix account taken over. So someone was able to use their Netflix account, and they went in and they changed everything, and there's the only way that they could get it resolved was to confirm their payment method. So they had to call Netflix and say, here's my name, here's my credit card number, and which, again, you feel like, oh, am I really talking to Netflix now? I don't know. So please go, turn on two-factor authentication on everything, especially things like your email account, any music. Let's protect your music. Spotify account, your YouTube, your Google, your DistroKid account if you're releasing music through DistroKid. You don't want someone going in there and messing with your releases, people. Imagine if someone went in there and they just released a bunch of music under your account. Like, if someone just wanted to be dodgy, they just go in there and they sign you up for all the premium services and just release a bunch of music. That would actually be an interesting hack if someone hacked into your DistroKid account and then just released a song that's like, you've been hacked, I've got your DistroKid account, and just released it. And the first thing you knew about was that a song came out and people were like, Johns, your new song's going in a very interesting direction here. I don't quite know about it. Yes, and most of the reputable sites, as Thomas Christ says here, mandate two-factor authentication. And they should. They definitely should. There's other things you can do. You can use password managers, but as we saw recently, a password manager by the name of LastPass got hacked. You had one job, LastPass, you had one job. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. If you're using a password manager, still use two-factor authentication. Still use strong passwords. And if you want to be a Luddite, just write your passwords down. Because remember, it is more likely that someone's going to break in virtually than break in physically these days. So people that laughed at people that used to keep their password in a Post-it note under their keyboard, now that's probably the most secure place to keep it, which is ironic. We've gone whole full circle here, folks. As Dom says, my system, I never write passwords down, so I literally need to reset it every time. Being lazy is secure. There you go. That's another way to go. Just reset it every single time and you'll be good to go. So that is Captcha, that is passwords, and please be careful with that sort of stuff. Let's move on to something that is more relevant to music, and that is music related scams. So what am I talking about? Music scams. Well, these are bots that are used to help your music. Have you ever seen these ads? I've shared them here on Studio Live today before. But have you ever seen the ads that say things like, we can get you 2,000 listens on Spotify, or we can get you 2,000 followers, or we can get you 2,000 Instagram followers, or we can get you 10,000 YouTube views, or we can get you 1,000 YouTube subscribers. All you need to pay is this one low price of $29.99. They are using bots. Yeah, they're scams and they're bots. And if you use them, you'll regret it. Why? Why is it so bad? Well, for starters, all those things we just mentioned are vanity metrics, people. All that they do is make you feel a little bit better because you look at your numbers and you're like, oh, look at that, I've got 1,000 more subscribers on my YouTube. Oh, look, I must be famous. I've got 5,000 listens on Spotify. All of that is just vanity metrics. None of that's actually helping you. The only thing that would help you is the views or the listens. If you're like, well, Johns, what if I pay and I get 5,000 listens on Spotify? Won't I get paid the 0.02 cents per listen on my DistroKid account or on my CD Baby or on my TuneCore? Yeah, but you know what? For all the bots and all the algorithms that the dodgy folks have, do you think that Spotify don't have some pretty high paid engineers that are actually having their own algorithms and their own bots that can detect that stuff? Yeah, they do. I have had too many emails, too many messages, too many people crying into their cornflakes in the last 3 years because they accepted a deal from a dodgy scammer. They paid for a bunch of Spotify plays, and guess what? Spotify kicked them off the platform, told DistroKid this person has bought listens, and then DistroKid have closed their account. And they've got not a leg to stand on because that's 100% in breach of all of the terms of service of every platform. If you read the terms of service, and I'm sure you've read the terms of service of every single platform you have ever used, but if you read those terms of service, you'll notice that they say things like using robots, using bots, using algorithms, or paying people to get false views, fake listens on your stuff is not going to be tolerated. And you'll get away with it for a short period. It's like anything in life. You'll get away with it for a short period of time. You'll think you're the smartest person in the room until you're not. Until you're crying into your cornflakes. You're emailing John saying, Johns, how do I fix it? And I go, you can't. You made a mistake. It was a pretty bad mistake. And they're like, but the person said it. I'm like, yeah, guess what? Criminals lie so that they can commit crimes, just like scammers lie so they can scam people. You got to take things with a grain of salt. If you take it at face value and assume that everyone's telling you the truth, especially when it sounds too good to be true, guess what? It is too good to be true. And as someone mentioned earlier, if they mention Telegram, if they mention a WhatsApp account, if they try to take you off platform, that's a pretty good idea that something's wrong. And I'm going to give you a teaser here. We're going to end the show here today with something fun because I've left a comment on my YouTube channel for the last few weeks. We're going to delete it today, but I wanted to leave it there because I want to read it. We're going to do some scam theater here today on the show, folks, because I just found it so funny. I've got one of these bot comments that has the comment and then all the responses. It is hilarious. And we're going to go through that and read through that at the end of the show. I think you might enjoy that one. So please, please stay away from music scams. They really are going to damage you. And there's so many things. And look, it even goes down. Speaking of music scams, the other part of music scams that we'll talk about here. In fact, there's three. So that's sort of the first one, which is a really obvious, really nefarious one. Jade Stars mentioned something here. She said there are even promoters here in Australia and all around the world, in fact, that expect you to pay to play at a venue. They expect you to bring a certain amount of people to make less than what you paid to perform. Yeah. So that's the other thing. There are a lot of these. They're online and offline now. You'll receive these sort of emails. It'll say it's from a radio station or you'll say it's from a promoter and they're interested in your music. I just heard your song. Algorithm puts in name of song that you just released and I thought it was great. And I work for a marketing firm that can really get you going. Yeah, they probably don't. And if they do, they're probably just sending out a pro forma. I'm sorry. I know you're special and your music's amazing and I don't doubt that for a second. But guess what? Everyone's getting those emails and it's not actually that special. I'm sorry, it's not me. Don't blame me. Don't shoot the messenger, please. But yeah, you'll get an email like that or it'll say I'm a promoter and all you need to do is do this audition. Like a lot of them now are hiding behind this audition and there's real people. I've done one. I did one just to go through the process. You do an audition and they say, oh, really great. Yeah, we can definitely pay you cash money to perform on our live platform. And then you go through the process and they're like, okay, so here's the deal. And you're like, wait, didn't it sound a lot better when you first said it to me? And they're like, yeah, all you have to do is pay the $99 registration fee. And I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. Yeah. So please be careful. Please be careful out there. There's a lot of people looking to get your hard earned. While we're talking about music scams, and this is going to make me super unpopular, but if you are learning music, if you're out there and you're trying to learn how to do music, there are a lot of folks who are going to sell you things like courses and master classes and communities that you can join that have got either a monthly fee or they're a course that you buy that's an online course. Now, before you accuse me of being a giant hypocrite, I have a course. I have my GarageBand Beginner's Guide. It's $10. It launched at $10. It's now $10. And if you wanted the discounted price, guess what? It's going to be $10. And the reason I do that is it's my middle finger because I'm a mature man. It's my middle finger to what I see as a nice way to say would be manipulative, and a less nice way to say it would be exploitation of vulnerable people. So there are a lot of folks out there that are creating courses about music creation, and many of them are great. Many of my friends, many fellow creators are creating great courses that they sell for a reasonable price that people are getting great benefits out of, or that they have a community that people pay an annual fee for or a monthly fee. And again, I have a Patreon community. I would be a giant hypocrite if I said that this was a bad thing. But the problem is that whenever people see that opportunity to spin an angle, they're going to push it. And there's something called a course launch. Just type it into your Google right now. Go how to launch a course. And this is the nefarious side of courses, is that the people, not only are there people wanting to sell you courses, there's people that want to sell you courses on how to sell courses. It's weird. It gets into that meta thing. It's like the people that are doing pyramid schemes where they do these get-rich schemes, and the get-rich scheme is sell get-rich schemes to people. It kind of makes no sense. But what the way this works, you've seen it. I know you've seen it. I know you might have participated in some of these, and that's okay. I have too. We're all human. It's fine. So the way this works is a creator will put out what they call a lead magnet. So this is a free PDF. It's a free guide to check out my free guide to something, or grab this free sample pack, or grab this free, it's free. It's got to be free. So they'll send out a lead magnet with a free thing. You'll then download the free thing, but guess what you give them when you get the free thing? That's right, your email and your details. So you can then go into their sales funnel. What is a sales funnel? It's a bot. Yes, we finally got back to why this is relevant. So, you know how I said at the start, time, money, scalability? This is what creators are doing. And again, I'm not saying whether this is good, bad, or otherwise. I probably am. I'm probably saying sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's fine. But you're going into a sales funnel. So on day one, you'll get an email that will say, hey, thanks so much for downloading your free thing. You're awesome. You're amazing. May not even have a strong sales push. On day 4, you'll get a second email that will say, we really hope you're enjoying the free thing you got. I'm personally accountant. No, they're not. It's a bot. So you get this second bot email, and it will usually have a product at a ridiculously reduced price. It'll say, since you downloaded this, maybe you'd like this intermediate course that's only $9, and it's down. I usually sell it for $97, but for you right now, $9. And you're like, oh, that's a pretty good deal, and you might buy it. In which case you go into another sales funnel that sells you. But if you don't buy that, you'll get another email that will sell you something else. And then you'll get another email that will sell you something else. And all of these emails will be full of really heavy discounts. They'll sound amazing. They'll have all this flowery language. They'll use things like false scarcity, which is a time-bound thing where they're like, for only the next 24 hours, you have access to this really cheap discounted, this $9 course. It's usually $97, only for the next 24 hours. That is not true. That is called false scarcity. And if you just went back in 24 hours later, you could get the same thing. Or you know what? If you ever do one of those things, by the way, just sign up with another email address. You'll get the same offer, the same 24-hour time window, and you can go back and buy it. So I wanted to mention that because a lot of folks get into these. And look, music's not so bad because generally, by the time someone sells you a music course and a bunch of people do it, then you'll know whether it's value or not. It's the make money courses that are a lot worse and a lot more toxic with this sort of stuff. But there are people out there that have spent literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on courses to try and make good music and are not making music. But they're going into the next one because they're in the sales funnel, and then they see the next deal come up and they're like, oh, wow, now it's a mixing course that's only $47, but it's got $1,297 worth of value. I better buy that because that will help. No, you know what will help you? Creating, recording, and releasing music. Rinse, repeat. Practice makes progress. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse. I'll jump down off my soapbox. But yeah, there's people out there that want to part you from your money. And yeah, it's fine. Again, I'm not being a hypocrite about this stuff. I sell a course. I have a Patreon. That's cool. But what I'm not going to do is tell you that my $10 course is suddenly discounted for $5 for only 24 hours when it's a digital product that has no supply cost anyway. Yeah, right? It's weird. I don't like it. Alrighty, let's go. Yeah, as Jay Star says, if you ever sign up for a free cheat sheet on YouTube, get the cheat sheet and immediately unsubscribe, or you'll end up with 3 emails a day. It's true, because a bot will keep sending you emails, and they'll keep coming through. So there you go. You've got the really nefarious stuff, you got the in-between, and then you got the stuff that on the surface is probably fine. It's not actually a scam. I'm sorry if I called it that, but it's the sales funnel and the lead magnet. It's the slightly shady cousin. Like it's not the guy that goes in and robs a bank, but it's the guy, that guy that's got the accountant that never seems to pay enough tax. Yeah, it's that guy. All right. A couple more things we wanted to talk about here before we finish off with a little bit of theatre, a little bit of scammer theatre here, because we're talking bots today. Robo-calls. Hands up who's had a robo-call in the last week. I've had 4. 3 of them hung up on me. I don't know why. I deliberately aren't. I usually ignore unknown numbers or ignore calls that are probably scammers. But I've been trying to do my research. I've been trying to talk to as many scammers as possible in the last week and as many robotic related things. But so I had 3 that didn't answer. 1 actually called during a Patreon live stream. So hello to my patrons. You got to see me answer this call. It was from a guy at a wine club. And look, the robocalls fall into 2 categories. And look, I've been part of the problem before because I worked for a company and I worked in their call center. Well, I worked in their calling department, their marketing and their sales department. And we made sales robocalls, and I'm sorry. And look, they are reducing a bit because they're losing their effectiveness, but they're still there. So there's 2 types of robocalls. One is where the robotic dialer will actually call you and then it will connect you to a human. And you know why sometimes it hangs up? When you get a call, you're like, hello, and it sits there for 2 seconds and it hangs up. That's because there's no one there to take the call. Did you know that? Isn't that wacky? So these dialers, they're called predictive dialers. The way they work, again, get a bit of the inside baseball stuff here from someone who's been in the trenches, but the way they work is that they estimate how many of the staff that are making the calls are going to be available at any given time, and then they make the calls. And then they connect you. As soon as they get a live call, so someone who's actually answered, hello, then they connect it to an agent. But guess what happens? If there's no agent available, there's no one to talk to them. So it will just disconnect. So if you've ever had those calls where you open it's a telemarketing call, but there's no telemarketer available to call to actually connect to you. And we didn't like them. You tried to avoid them. You tried to set your algorithm. Again, the algorithm was set by the human. So the humans, the evil folks like me that were doing the calling, we would set the algorithm to say, we would set the automated outbound caller to say, do it at this level of intensity. So normally you do it where you could get as close to 100% pickup rate as possible. Because if you only got a 90% pickup rate, that's 10% of hot leads of people that actually answer their phone, which is rare these days, that you can't actually talk to. So that's point 1. That's the first type of robocall. The second type of robocall require interaction from you. So this is where you get a call and it's like, what's the classic one? It's like, this is Amazon Prime. Your Amazon Prime membership has just been renewed for $199. If you did not make this payment, this subscription and do not require this, please press 1 and we will put you through to an operator. And then you, of course, hang up. But if you're like, oh, wait, I've been charged for something that I didn't buy, which is virtually never the case, you'll go through to the agent and they'll say, oh, yes, we'll process your refund for you. It's called a refund scam. Again, Google it. Google refund scam. Go check out Scammer Payback or Kitboga or one of the great scam baiting channels on YouTube if you want to learn more. But yeah, the refund scam is horrible because what it does is it preys on people's lack of trust of banks and lack of trust of companies like Amazon because they think, oh yeah, bloody Amazon, of course they charge me that money. And then what the scammer will do, and look, I know it sounds laughable, but in the moment, vulnerable people are going to do strange things. And they only need to operate at like 0.1%, and they're still going to make money. So what they will say is, we need to log into your computer. I need to go into your bank. I need you to log into your bank. I'm not going to log into your bank, but you log into your bank on your computer. I will remote in and I will process the refund. Now, that's not how banking works ever, but unfortunately, vulnerable people let people do that. What they do is instead of putting $199, they put $1,999. And then they say, oh no, oh, I'm going to lose my job. I need you to send me this money back. Could you go to your local Target store and buy some gift cards and then give me the numbers? Because that'll pay it back. That's how we process things around here. And I know it sounds comical. It sounds laughable that anyone would ever fall for the scam, let someone log into their computer, and then be coerced into thinking that they've been given money that they hadn't, and go to a physical store, buy gift cards, and then give those gift card numbers. Because all the scammers then do is they use those cards and they sell them on the black market. So $100 gift card they'll sell for $80. And that's, again, don't ever buy gift cards on places like eBay, because that's usually where they've come from. You're usually contributing to scamming old people. Well, not old people. So again, I said that because that is the what people think. They think, oh, it's only old, but it's not. It's young, it's old, it's young, it's intelligent, it's low socioeconomic, it's high socioeconomic, it's everyone. Everyone is capable of being scammed. And it's all the fault of bots. It's all the robots that do all the scamming, right? Yeah, so beware the robots. And I know we got off on a tangent there. I know, surprising, isn't it, that we went off on a tangent and we talked about something that wasn't related to music. Alrighty. So we've talked through a lot of things in the podcast here today. We've talked about bots, the good, the bad, the ugly. We've talked about algorithms like YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, concert tickets, and how bots are bad and how the ticket companies are trying to protect us against them. The joy of captcha and two-factor authentication, really annoying, but really required. Definitely needs to be done. Music scams, so making sure you're not falling for those Instagram scams that tell you to pay someone to get your views or get your listens or get your subscribers. And we've talked about robo-calls, making sure that you realize, again, that the whole thing with this is, if it's too good to be true, and the way I put this is look for the person, because again, music, money, time, scalability. So what these bots can't do is link back to a human very easily. So once you're in one of these robotic flows, so if you're getting those sales funnel emails, start responding to them. You'll either get an automated response back, or the creator will angrily have to actually respond to you, and then just start a conversation with them. Like, put them to work, ask weird questions. So if you get that first one that's like $7, just like what you could do is just go, could you just tell me how you calculated the $97 value for your $9 course? And just see if you get a response. Just have a bit of fun. Enjoy the process. We've talked about music scams as well, and robocalls. AI we didn't touch on. We did talk about AI in a recent show. It is related to this. Every bit of AI is just an automation. It's just someone that's grabbed a data set, that's programmed something to say, if this, then that, and then pushes something out. So AI images, AI text, AI music, it is all saying it's artificial intelligence really oversells it. I think the whole concept of artificial intelligence is really what it is. It is human-led automation. That's the way I call it. But you know what? Human-led automation doesn't sound as sexy as artificial intelligence, does it? No, it really doesn't. But it really is human-led automation. All right. So we didn't talk a lot about it, but the bots that you'll encounter a lot are on places like YouTube, and we get some interesting comments on this channel. We've had the reason I kind of thought of this whole topic is that we had some bots recently that have been viewing my content, and if I didn't know that these were bots, I'd be like, wow, my shows are getting popular, aren't they? Because if you've been watching some of my shows recently, we normally have 40 or 50 folks watching live on things like Your Music Live or the Happy Hour. Recently, it's been jumping up. We had like 70, 80 views coming in, and I'm like, oh, I wonder why. I didn't think, wow, we've got some new viewers this week. I thought, wow, I wonder why 30 bot accounts are watching the stream. I wonder what data they're trying to pull. I wonder whose comments that they're scraping to go and get their accounts to go and try and... Because that's really what it's all about. When there's a bot on a site, so there's the two types of bots that come onto your YouTube. There's the ones that leave comments, which are the ones that you're probably aware of. So they're the prawn bots. They're the ones that come on and say, sexy girls in your local area. And then our wonderful moderators on the channels just get rid of them and they go away and they create a new account and come back. Yeah. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. So they're annoying, but they don't really cause much damage unless you click on them, right? And again, like we said before, only 0.01% of people, because it's an automated system, because it's human-led automation, the human just programs it in and says, grab these 1,000 bot accounts, go out to these 10,000 channels, go nuts. Do your thing, bots. And they'll hit 1 million channels with a million videos in a day, and it only requires 20 people to go in there that they can then manipulate, scam, sell to, steal their data, join their bot network. So yeah, there's a bunch of things they can do. The other side of bots are things that what we were talking about before. So the things like where you buy Spotify views or Spotify plays or you buy YouTube views, they're done by bots as well, but they don't comment, they don't interact. This is why you see some channels that things don't quite look right. So you might see a channel where they put out a video, they've got 1,500 views, 0 comments and like 10 likes. And you're thinking to yourself, how did they get 1,500 views and not a single person comment? The answer is bots. And look, if they're smarter these days, they'll try and put bot comment interaction in there, which are getting quite good. They can have conversations as part of that, which is really interesting. And again, that's what we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, a lot of them are just in there to view. And the reason that they'll put bots into these channels is to, and again, don't get paranoid about this stuff, but just protect yourself. Protect yourself with the 2-factor, protect yourself with security. The reason that they'll put bots in there quite often is to scrape the data that's going on and that's happening live. So they're scraping data all the time. Again, that's why I said don't worry about what you can see in plain sight. The people on TikTok, the algorithms on TikTok, the ads that you're getting shown, that's the visible stuff. It's the invisible stuff. It's where you're being surveilled. Remember, surveillance is about you not knowing about it. The stuff that's happening out in the open, that's not a problem. That's not going to cause the concern. It's the under the table stuff. So that's why I say to my children, just assume that everything you do on the internet is being watched by someone. And even if you think, oh, but it's a private encrypted conversation between me and one other person, just assume that everything you say on the internet is being watched by someone. And you'll be fine. If you wouldn't say it, if you wouldn't walk into the middle of the shopping center and say it in a loud voice, don't say it on the internet. Because someone is watching you. And I don't want this to lead to paranoia, but I want it to lead to realistic understanding that even if you think you're secure, you're probably not. So do the best you can. Do the best you can out there and don't worry so much about the bots. Alrighty, it is time. We're at the end of the podcast, but I wanted to go through a little bit of fun here to finish up with. And for those watching on the video version, you'll get to see the comment as well. For those listening on the audio version, don't worry. I'm going to do my best. I won't use any accents, but I'm going to use some voices here as to what these people might actually sound like. But I did a video EQ for beginners a while ago. And I suddenly looked at the video and I'm like, why does this video have the opposite problem? Why does this video have 200 views and 22 comments? And then I realized that the 22 comments were 21 replies to one comment. And I thought, this is going to be, I'm keeping this one. This is going to be gold. I'm going to find a way to use this. And that's what we're going to be doing right now. So without any further ado, to finish off our bots podcast episode this week, take it away, commenters in my chat. Lanake Rex says, it is better to invest now. You will never be younger than you are today, and there will never be a perfect time to invest. Due to compounding, which Einstein called the 8th wonder of the world, you can get rich slowly from investing if you do it from a young enough age. Now, our friend here has 32 likes and also has 21 replies on his comments. So what are folks going to be saying about this comment? So Jadiana7519 said, investing in cryptocurrency now should be in every wise individual's list. In some months, you'll be ecstatic with the decision you made today. To which Mark Rich replied, people will be kicking themselves in a few months if they miss the opportunity to buy and invest in crypto as it's retracing. Be wise. Then 22728 chimes in. These past few days, watching my crypto portfolio decline is very disheartening. Holding doesn't really profit much. Any ideas on how to earn better on the short run? Well, guess what? Our friend Atchaman has the answer. Short-term trading is much preferable considering the current market fluctuations. But what does Roma have to say? Really am confused, especially in the market analysis. How do people take advantage trading them? But don't worry, because Rochelle Jones has the answer. These are what beginners do think. Me, too. I used to think the same way. Thank God I met Mr. Michael Marcus. He helped me in trading and in calculate how the market works. Pausing, Pete here. Incalculate? How do you incalculate something? Anyway, we'll continue on here. By Youngest Sock 5005 says, I'm also a proud beneficiary. I built my portfolio massively and still building. My weekly earnings from his strategies are mind-blowing. Annabelle Youngberg is skeptical, though. She says, who's Mr. Michael Marcus? Well, don't worry. Justin Frisbee says, investing with Michael Marcus has been the right choice I made so far this 2022. Video was released in 2023. Just so I know. At least I've achieved some of my goals, $86,000 and still investing. We need to see more replies. Of course we do. Because by Young something, Michael Marcus is an expert trader. He uses both manual and algorithmic trading techniques while trading. He is amazing and indeed professional in what he does. But Adam Longate says, please, how do I contact him? My income stream is a mess. Please, crying emoji. But Marie leaves a phone number, which I won't read out here because someone might actually contact it. Oh no, Marie clarifies. On WhatsApp. Oh, it's a WhatsApp number. Pete here. What did we say before? Telegram, WhatsApp, always a scam. Don't fall for it. Adam's back. He says, thank you for this. We'll definitely reach out to him tomorrow. Thanks again. Mama886 says he's not like other brokers that will start telling you stories and excuses while they trade didn't go well after collecting your money. These are some long sentences. To which unpronounceable username says, really, all these information are encouraging, and I think now is the best time to plan. I will reach his after work activities. Brian, something or other, says, good to see how you guys came up here to show keen appreciation to Michael Marcus. This is exactly how I got recommended about Mr. Michael Marcus. At first, I was a bit skeptical, but eventually I gave him a trail. With my little investment, I got huge profits. Should we go on? I don't think we need to go on. And scene. Okay. And it goes on like that. I was going to read the whole lot, but it was getting exhausting. So what is the point of all this? Why would they do this? Why would they put this? Oh, by the way, let's finish off by doing one thing. Let's finish off by showing you, if you get these things, now I've left this here for a long time, which I shouldn't have, but if you get these things on your account, there's a very simple way to get rid of them. You come to the three dots here in your YouTube studio and you go report. So you can hide the user, but report them. Always report them because, look, it's not going to solve the problem, but it's like whack-a-mole. You might as well whack the moles, even though other moles are going to pop up. So whack the moles. We're going to go unwanted commercial content or spam. I'm going to hit the report button. It's going to, and then I'm going to say, yes, hide the user from my channel. It's going to delete the comment, and they're going to go away. They'll be back. Don't worry. I didn't destroy them. They'll be back with another bot and another human-led automated comment stream anytime soon. But please, if you got anything out of this, please, if you're watching on the YouTube video, hit the like button. Would appreciate that. If you're listening on the podcast, on your podcast platform of choice, again, if you want to find it, just search Studio Live Today on your podcast player of choice, or you can go to studiolivetoday.com/podcast. If you'd like to leave a review, would definitely appreciate that, or even just a rating. It all really helps out. Jump on over to studiolivetoday.com if you want to find all the ways you can interact with me. Coming up this week, we're doing the Australian Happy Hour. We've got another episode of Your Music Live, all of your best independent music. And again, our GarageBand weekly show where we'll be doing our Wheel of Random Mysteries. If you want to know what that's all about, come on over. Thank you everyone for being here. As we say at the end of each and every show, please be kind to yourself this week. Be kind to others. Keep creating and don't fear the robots. Bye for now. Don't fear the robots. Take my hand. Don't fear the robots. Something, everyone. La da 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 da. Your screen is broken. Was it the robots? I blame the robots. Yes, and cut and scene. Man, those dodgy things. Rena says I get bombed all the time on Facebook. Model-looking men. I know. Yeah, and if they ever say the military, that my mum gets this all the time. It's usually men that are in like US military, and it's like a picture of them next to a jet plane, and they're just like, "Hey, I'm retired Air Force, and I'm looking for some mature ladies to be friends with." And it's like, come on, dude. You can do better than that, can't you? I would have thought so. Yeah, these are the new. So I love them. I love those things. So good. Exactly. Yeah. I know. Not only for the laugh, but for the perfect example of how they lead you into with the false information. Absolutely. Very, very crazy stuff. Now, did I miss anything? I'm just scrolling back up to see if I missed any. I saw one question from, I think it was Falk Crow. Yes, I've got the Falk Crow and Mike and Dawn. I think you had a question or comment there. But if there's anything that I may have missed and you're still hanging out, feel free to throw your question or any comment you really wanted me to get my attention, because I know I kind of fly through in these shows, and it's a bit difficult to both keep to my list of topics here and get through them, but at the same time talk to you folks. Telemarketer firm, and the telemarketer hangs up right before the call connects. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I didn't mention that, but the other thing was that we had to track was, I can't remember what we called them now because it's been a while, but you could see when the agent hung up. So because agents were incentivized on sales, but they're also incentivized on talk time, quite often the agent, if they knew they were ahead on sales, they would burn a few calls so that they could reduce, so they could spend more time on the next call, try and get a sale, but they'd just dump a couple of calls at like 1 or 2 seconds. So we actually had the less than 30-second report, and it was so easy to see when people were just dumping calls, because most people had less than 30-second calls of like 1, 2, 3 a day, and then someone would have like 20, and you'd be like, "You're hanging up on customers." No, I'm not. Yes, you are. We have ways of telling you that you are. Gladys, I bet Gladys would love robocalls. My wife likes messing with robocalls and scammers. It's really dodgy. Really dodgy. All right, I'm just going to jump to the bottom. Yeah, I like that. YouTube channels that sell you on how to be successful. Yeah, again, it's like people that make don't make music but are a music educator. Oh, Google's talking to me out there. My robot's listening out there. My robots are always listening. All right. Where is your loud noise hack to download? Oh, my loud noise hack. Okay. So I'll answer a few questions here before we finish up. To download. Yeah, I haven't actually. Yeah, you're right. I did mention that I was going to do that, but you can create your own. If you search Pete John's volume loud noise hack, I reckon it's there. There you go. Volume export hack. So it's that one there. I haven't actually provided it yet, but I will do that. I'm going to provide the whole project. I'm just cleaning it up because it's still got a bit of stuff in there. I need to reduce this file size, so I'm just removing some of the unused takes and unused sounds and stuff. So I'm going to play around with that. But yes, I should get there. Should get there soon. I'm slack. I know. Totally slack. Well, the Falcro. Do you need me to restate my question? No, I found it. So you said, do you know why my sound acts strangely when I try to use GarageBand with another program such as YouTube app? The sound acts like the volume is being raised and lowered quickly. Strangely when I try to use GarageBand with another program such as YouTube app. So I might need a little more information. So you're talking about when you upload a GarageBand project to YouTube? Like, how are you using YouTube and GarageBand together? Like, and I'm assuming iOS. So on on iPhone or iPad and you're using the two together, when you're getting that sound going up and down, it's usually due to limiting. So it's usually that something's too loud and it's causing that wavering kind of sound. What do you call that? Like not bouncing. What am I trying to say? That pumping. You get that pump, especially when like kick drums and bass drum, like kick drums or snares or loud guitars and beats and stuff are happening, or bass is happening. So maybe just a little more information. I'll see what I can do. Google Ads pros and cons. See, this is the thing. I need to start using Google Ads, and then I'll do a Google Ads pros and cons podcast, Mike and Dawn. But I haven't done that yet. There you go. Jade's done one. So Jade's been experimenting with these. So go and check out Jade's show. But yeah, I do need to do it, and I'll share it once I do actually go in and do stuff with it. I'll just see if there's anything. Yeah. I get all the ads. It was so weird. The day it was creepy. The day I turned 40, my ads changed. My ads changed from like basically, yeah, they changed into the mature audience. So it went from like cannabis and meet sexy local singles in your area to mature ladies to baldness cures to help downstairs stuff. Yeah, it was so bizarre. It's almost like clicked over and people were just like, male 40 to 49, send them this. That's good. Today I was watching a show on Open GarageBand and I started doing it. Yes, what you described is what's happening. So it may be... Oh, first of all, make sure that GarageBand has background audio enabled on it. So in your GarageBand... actually, I don't have my iPad set up to show you, but trying to find where I have it. It's background audio. Do I have a separate video just showing how to do it? It's if you go to Pete John's GarageBand background. Yeah, so if you're running in background mode, so check out this video here. I'll throw it into the chat. So make sure you're running it in GarageBand in background mode. And so that way the audio will come through. But yeah, usually it's just that it's overloading. Like iOS audio is not great. So if you've got something playing in GarageBand and then you go play something in another app, yeah, often you'll get some distortion or some interference or some weird sounds going on. So yeah, I tend to just close down GarageBand and open another app. You can also open YouTube in your browser if it's causing problems between the two apps. But make sure that GarageBand's running in background mode. And yeah, just turn the volume down because it might just be that my voice is too loud. I'm a big fat loudmouth, so it might just be that's coming through. Yep, cool. So yeah, just jump in, make sure you're on background mode. Otherwise, it might be doing that cutting in and out thing. Yeah, 40 is definitely used as a demographic divide. So as soon as you're 40, it's all over for you, apparently. That's it. Rena's trying to double a vocal part before a key change. Keeps peaking on mixdown, even re-recorded with less gain, lower volume with more reverb. Key change keeps peaking at mixdown. Yeah, I mean, it might just be that the overall volume of your project's too loud. Have you used the EQ volume hack to kind of turn the overall volume down? It's kind of hard to tell. If you're on the Facebook group, you can always share a little clip of it, or share like a video or a screen recording or something like that. Yeah, it's hard to diagnose those sort of things, but yeah. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. And yeah, heads up, programming note here. Yeah, you could use a limiter, you could use EQ to try and turn it down. Compression, and then turn your makeup gain down. So if it's peaking and you've got little peaks on there, you probably want to add a compressor that's going to smooth out those peaks. Yeah. Yeah, so programming note. So let's just work this out together because I got to know it. So the happy hour this weekend, while we're talking things, because I need to do this for myself anyway. So let's put you through the pain of it as well. So let's go Pacific time, and we'll get Atlantic, and we'll do UTC. So, so everything's changing. Right. So the happy hour I normally do on a Sunday, and I will be doing it on the Sunday this week as per usual. So I've got the 12th of March, and that will be at 11:30 a.m. my time. So that is now going to be 5. Oh, that's going to be the same time. Oh, yeah, that'll be the same time. So the happy hour will be the same time because the folks in the US haven't gone through daylight saving yet. However, when we get to the Monday morning, so happy hour, no change. But Monday morning for me, which will be Sunday for you folks, and we'll go to 8:30 a.m., this is where we're going to change. So yes, it's now going to be 3 and 6. So it's usually 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and 10 p.m. UTC. It is going to be an hour later on Sunday afternoon. And that will be for a while until it becomes another hour later. Yeah? So it varies. If you're on the West Coast, it varies between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. It's going to be 3 p.m. for a little while before it turns to 4 p.m. In New York, so the Eastern, it's 5 p.m. It's going to go to 6 p.m. for a while before it goes to 7 p.m. Yeah. And then the UTC is going to change. And then Australia's going to change. Time zones, hey? Who would do it? Yep, YML, 6 p.m. Eastern this week. That will be the change. The change you've been waiting for. But happy hour. See, I should have just asked Thomas Christ. He's all over it. He's all over it. Yes, because we live in the future. It's Monday for us. Alrighty. That is going to do it for this episode and this podcast. So thank you everyone for hanging out. I hope you have a good weekend. We're back on Sunday for me, or Saturday, as we saw there, for the happy hour. We've then got, Your Music Live and GarageBand Weekly kicking on. Don't forget to check out the new song if you haven't already. In fact, why don't let's go out with the new song, shall we? While you say your goodbyes. I haven't heard it ad nauseum around here. But if you want to check out the new song, it's available on YouTube right now. Just search Pete Johns Sink or Swim. Fabulous work from Jade Starr on the drums and on the backing vocals on this one, by the way. Really definitely made it pop. And this is the video that I bought, which is the Vizzy video from DistroKid, which is pretty good. Like, I'll do a music video of some sort eventually, but I just wanted a placeholder video I could throw on here. So this cost me like $10. And it's nice because I can just get it out there and start playing it. So thanks everyone for being here, and listen to my new song, Sink or Swim. I'll see you over the weekend. Bye for now.
All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me. Have a view of what might sing and what those circling sharks will bring. Maybe I'll be safer on the shore. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water. And I don't know if I'll sink or swim. Talking as on the news.